Hi everyone, hope you're doing well and enjoying your weekend so far. Today I've got some Battlefield 3 gameplay for you on the brilliant Strike at Karkin map. Now originally this was a map in Battlefield 2 if you guys remember that, and they did remake it for Battlefield 3 here. I was just running around earlier today having a great time with the M416 on the assault class, just dropping people, and I have started this a bit later on in the round. There's this great section that you're watching now where the only flag that we had left was the hotel, the A point on the US team, and I was just digging in and trying to hold the Russians back as well as I could. Always great fun to come back and play this game. So if you've been following along with the games media this week, you may have noticed a few articles popping up about a potential remaster of Battlefield 3, or even the next Battlefield title just being a remaster of this game. And in this video I wanted to talk about why I think that isn't the case. I don't think there will be a remaster of Battlefield 3. But instead, as I talked about in my Battlefield reboot video, I do think that the next game will borrow a lot of elements from Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4 and what made those games so fun and enjoyable to play, capturing the essence of those games and transplanting it into something new. So the idea of a Battlefield 3 remaster isn't a new idea. It's something that's been floated around in the community for many years. I mean, in October 2018, I made a video on the idea of a potential BF3 remaster where it had 4K graphics and they ported it onto this hypothetical new version of the Frostbite engine and got it to work well on Xbox One and PlayStation 4. Because if you recall, BF3 was on the original 360 and PlayStation 3 as well as PC. But the consoles back then didn't get the full fat version of the game. They got watered down graphics, player counts, maps, game modes, whereas the PC got the full package, and of course the graphics and the performance on PC massively excelled over what was available on those older consoles at the time. And that video just talks about how the prospect of a remastered version of the game, where maybe they fix a couple of the bugs and update some of the textures and lighting, fix a couple of exploits, maybe sell it digital only for like $15 or something. Yeah, to me and a lot of other Battlefield fans who love this game, I would say that's quite an exciting prospect and something that a lot of people would enjoy. But that's all that video was, a prospect, an idea, something that would be cool but perhaps unlikely to happen. And recently, with these articles popping up, it's sparked that debate again. Is this actually a real thing? Well, like I said just now, I don't think it is. And as much as I would love to play a remastered BF3, I don't think it would be a smart business decision for EA or DICE right now. Especially when you consider that we know now that the next Battlefield game is due out October, November next year. And as fun as Battlefield 3 was and still is when you go back and play it, by today's standards, there are a lot of things that haven't aged that well with the game. Like when I was playing it this morning, there were so many things, so many parts of the map where I was like, if only I could vault this tiny step. If only I could hoist myself over this wall, and you're running along and you still get stuck on tiny stones and ledges that look like you can just step over them. The user interface as well, it is very simple and elegant, but by today's standards it's a bit clunky and difficult to navigate at times. The gunplay, absolutely fantastic in this game. Love it to pieces. When you go back and play it, you can definitely feel that the netcode isn't as sharp or as good as it was in BF4 or BF5. The hit markers sometimes feel delayed or as if they've got a bit of input lag to them. And of course the suppression mechanic was definitely overkill, and I think for people who play a lot of modern shooters, if you played a game like BF3 where sometimes you're being shot at and your bullets aren't going where the crosshair's pointing, that's quite a jarring and weird game mechanic with all things considered. I guess the point I'm trying to make is if DICE did make a remaster of this game and just updated the textures, the resolution for consoles and the lighting, for example, perhaps it wouldn't be as well received and popular as it once was in 2011 and 2012. Irregardless of the game's mechanics though, I think a remaster of BF3 would be expensive to put together in terms of the development costs and also the marketing spend behind the game. And would DICE and EA really want to distract from what's coming next year? Surely they would want all of the focus to be on that. And kind of related to that, I think you have to put yourselves in the perspective of the developers of these games. Obviously, I can't speak for anyone but myself, but when I try to imagine if I was a developer at DICE or a producer, an artist, an animator, a QA tester, whatever it might be, I think that I would much prefer to work on something new rather than retreading old steps and old paths that we've already been on. A lot of people that work in the games industry are very creative people, and working on stuff that's already been done before perhaps wouldn't be as engaging, satisfying or fulfilling as a career. So I do think in that respect it's more likely that they're working on new stuff, and to be honest with you, as a fan of the franchise, I would prefer that too. I would prefer to see something new rather than a remaster of this game. I'd prefer to see new mechanics, a new updated build of Frostbite, really flexing what that engine can do. From a logistics perspective too, DICE only have a limited number of employees to work on their projects, and they've already come out and said that they've stopped development on Battlefield 5 content, they've stopped development on further Star Wars Battlefront 2 content to focus on the next Battlefield title. All guns are aimed in that direction, so let's say there is a new Battlefield title plus a BF3 remaster, assuming that it would be DICE making it, then that's pulling resources away from the main project, the next main Battlefield game that they need to be an absolute home run, and that's ultimately going to sell a lot more copies, make more profit for them, and drum up more excitement for the franchise. So taking developers away from that main project and putting them on a remaster, maybe it doesn't make that much sense. And you might say, well, what about a different EA studio? They could be making this. Well, I've had a look and I can't really think of anyone that would be doing this. Most people would say, well, DICE LA will be doing it. But in January, it was announced that Vince Zampella, who co-founded Respawn, will be heading and coaching the new DICE LA studio. They're thinking about rebranding, and also in an interview with the LA Times, he said that they'd be working on an original as yet unrevealed game. So DICE LA doesn't seem to make sense for me. Okay, what about Criterion? Well, they worked on Firestorm. It's just been announced that they're taking over development of the new Need for Speed game. That's a massive project. BioWare, well, they're working on the next Dragon Age and remaking Anthem, and there are a couple of other studios that they have, but I just don't see any of them with a lot of FPS experience that it would make sense to handle the development of a hypothetical Battlefield 3 remaster. And when you put all of that together that I've just spoken about, I don't think a BF3 remaster at the moment is the right call, and I'd assume that DICE and EA would look at everything and come to that conclusion as well. However, as I mentioned at the start of the video, the idea of the next main Battlefield title drawing from a game like BF3, a game like BF4, modern combat, sandbox gameplay, accessibility, I think that's much more of a likely scenario as to what we're actually going to get next year. And as I stated in that video that I posted last Saturday, June 6th, I do think that rebooting the franchise at the moment would be a smart move. But a remaster of BF3 at the moment, as much as I would love to sink hours into it and see what's improved and changed, it just doesn't work for me right now. Ultimately though, for me personally, the biggest reason I don't think there'll be a BF3 remaster this year or next is that the driving force behind it, behind the development of the Battlefield franchise, is the people that make the games. Like I mentioned, I just think that people want to advance. They don't want to look backwards and just do the same thing again, but with shinier graphics. Evolution is a much more exciting proposition, not just for the game developers, but also for us, the people that buy the games and play them. I'd rather get something new. And finally, I don't think it has to be said, but leaks and rumours appear on the internet all the time, on message boards, on social media, in YouTube videos. Sometimes people write stuff, they make stuff because they're bored, they just want to have some fun, they're trolling, whatever it is. So until there's some kind of an official announcement, take everything that you read and hear and see on the internet with a bucket load of salt, because anyone can post whatever they want online. Be skeptical all the time, look at the facts, go through the process in your own mind, come to your own conclusion. With that said, let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Do you think a BF3 remaster is on the cards this year or next? Or is the next game just a remake of BF3? I don't think it is. I think it's going to be something new. A reboot of the franchise? Maybe. I think it makes sense, but we'll have to wait and see. Thank you for watching the video. Thank you for your time. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like. It's a great way to help me out. If you didn't like it, dislike it. Subscribe if you want to see more, and I'll see you in the next one.